This is Aaron Anderson, Technical Evangelist at Endow. This is my first recording about something I discovered working in the DeFi space. There are a lot of projects that have been successful as opposed to the ones that have failed. And those successful ones had this little disclaimer in their footer of their either landing pages or documentation that said uh, built with heart or made with heart. And those projects that were built with heart have become transcendent forms of age old institutions in the face of zero resistance. What I mean by that is these organizations are doing things like setting community monetary policy or um, providing liquidity like banks do, but at better interest rates and permissionless. Like you can just go in and do it. Um, and nothing is stopping them. No banks or Wall Street or government interference. Like they just keep on going. So I want to know, like, what does that mean? What does built with heart mean? And so I tried looking it up to see if there was some sort of philosophy about that out there. And the only thing I could find was this Reddit comment from 2015 that says, what does the trend of putting made with heart in the footer of a website mean? And the uh, highest upvoted response says it's an annoying trend that basically means we didn't only make this project, we made it with love. So it's really good. Uh, so yeah, that wasn't much help in figuring out what is the secret sauce for um, these projects that have outsized effect and seem to be supernaturally immune from uh, elites in their industry, you know, putting up resistance, taking them down, out competing them, what have you. So as I dug deeper into it, I over time figured out that there's an actual design philosophy around it or social coordination philosophy around it that is it can be understood and it's provable and it has um, it can be tested and formally proofed. So the first thing I'm going to do is start out with a definition of what building with heart or made with heart means, as I've seen it in the software space and in other instances. But the definition I have is building with heart is a social coordination philosophy that holds that people working in harmony with their passions in the absence of fear towards the benefit of their users will attract appropriate compensation as a side effect. There's some characteristics of the building with heart philosophy that I've seen out in the wild. One of them was a tweet recently by Vitalik Buterin that where he said that a project with soul will outperform a project with $1 billion in funding. That project with soul thing, like, what is that? That's that's what we're going to find out. Um, so whenever I talk to leaders in the DeFi space, these projects that are built with heart, I ask for some resources. Like, what is this philosophy thing going on? What does built with heart mean? How come y'all are so good at your jobs? How come this sort of like emotional intuition thing is such an important part of the way you coordinate, manage, invest, live? And what I got were some links to places like They're philosophy websites. One of them is lesswrong.com, which I guess is about rationality, and another one is Harry Potter and the Methods of Rationality, which is fanfic Harry Potter novel that goes over some points about uh, different methods of rationality. Another one I got was, I think it's called The Blue Book, which is basically just a bunch of poems about love. Um, so that was cryptic. That didn't clarify anything for me whenever I was going into this and going into the research around it. This whole building with heart thing in the footer, I noticed was basically undocumented. Nobody had really explained in, you know, easy to conceive terms, stuff that can be used to for design and engineering. So it's undocumented. It relies heavily on intuition. So neurologically speaking, it requires more right brain activity than left brain activity. Left brain activity is the like your internal monologue whenever you feel a thing or justify something to yourself, whenever you're having communication with yourself. That happens in the left brain. And more emotional things, like you have a sense, a feeling, that's more of a right brain sort of thing. So it's common for artists and poets to be more right brained, which seemed weird in software development, software engineering, uh, but it's there. Um, and another characteristic of building with heart is these projects are like transcendent, unassailable. Like once they get going, they're unstoppable. They become a fixture of the ecosystem. Some examples I found, WordPress has had this building with heart in their footer for 10 years. Uh, Bitcoin, whenever it was created, the uh, it was very much a passion project for the creators, and we know this because they didn't sell any Bitcoin. Satoshi Nakamoto didn't sell Bitcoin for profit. He gave some away, but basically everything that he mined, everything he ever had, has never moved. So he didn't make any money off it, but he definitely did the thing he wanted to do, which was create a sort of peer-to-peer electronic uh, financial system. Ethereum is another example. Ethereum, basically, the idea for it started whenever Vitalik Buterin was playing World of Warcraft and Blizzard nerfed his character, and that affected other people that he was playing with, and he loved playing that game, and it affects people that he loved. And so he went about to create a system that would make sure that wouldn't happen. And out of that came the Ethereum virtual machine and smart contracts and that sort of thing. Another example of projects built with love is the DeFi ecosystem. It is composable. There's not like a intellectual property thing going on there. There's not like a security thing. You can just like plug into other people's protocols and use that in your own protocol. You can create little tools that work on that protocol. You can just build a layer on top of it. Somebody else can come in and build a layer on top of yours. If you need to raise funds for something, you can swap your token for, maybe it's a what are they used to call it, like a use token, um, functional token, I forget, uh, or a governance token. So you give these some of your tokens to another project. The other project gives you some of theirs in return. So now you all are like, you co-own each other's companies a little bit, or you can co-interrupt on each other's protocols. So it's very friendly. It's not competitive. It's collaborative. And we got DAO governance as an example. A DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization, and they are governed by basically volunteers who have somehow gotten voting rights in the organization, whether it was through purchasing voting rights, receiving voting rights for working and contributing to the project as it was developed, or airdropped on them, or any number of things. An example from today is the GameStop short squeeze and that coordination that's happening on Wall Street bets. And Chamath uh, Palihapitiya, I think is his last name. He was on CSNBC, uh, really saying this is a movement by the common man's populist movement against a financial organization that these people believe have harmed their family and friends and loved ones, and this is just to stick them in the eye. Uh, the the profit motive is less important than making the point that the community of Wall Street vets, degens, and autistic retards and stuff, or they're not going to take it anymore. They're not, you know, they are asserting their own humanity in that event. So that's really cool. We get to watch that play out as it happens. Um, so there are some really cool results. Again, with that definition, appropriate compensation uh, is a side effect of building with love. So we see that in the results of WordPress. It is the world's most popular content management system, powering 39.5% of websites. Bitcoin market cap is, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I'm going to say about $600 billion, and it's gotten there in what, 12 years? Ethereum market cap is probably 200 billion. It's gotten there in 5 or 6 years. Um, DeFi, decentralized finance user interaction is, I think, like 1.5 million addresses, and they got there in basically 2 years. Total value locked is in the tens of billions. So at this moment, I think it's about 30 billion. Um, DAO membership is is growing. I don't know the number of uh, DAO token holders that are out there, but I did work as a community contributor at MakerDAO, which that sort of arrangement basically, if you've proven that you're following your passion and this is where you should be, you just show up and say, "Hey, I work here now. My name's Aaron. Nice to meet you. What can I work on?" And so you get into the meetings, the planning meetings, you hop in on somebody's project, give them a hand, you propose some work that would meet the needs of, in this case, MakerDAO. Um, and because you're doing something that meets their needs and their mission, they will fund it at uh, very reasonable rates for the time you're spending. Um, so whenever you're working at a DAO, they really respect the fact that you're coming here of your own volition to do the work, um, and that you have the skill set and that you're trying your hardest. You don't have to be perfect, and they value diversity of thought and um, basically just encourage you to follow your passion because they know it's in line with their mission. Um, and then Wall Street Bets community growth, since this event started happening there, they've been the top growing uh, Reddit community for I think 7 out of the last 11 days, or 8 out of the majority of the last 2 weeks, basically. And so they've gone from less than 2 million in membership to over 2.6 million in a week. And the people who are taking part in this short squeeze isn't just the Reddit community of 2.6 million. There's people like me. Well, I'm not in it, but I can see everything that's going on Wall Street Bets. I can just go in there. I'm not a member of it, so I can't upvote anything, but I can see what's going on. And if I wanted to, I could take part in that particular short squeeze. And if I was to do it, it wouldn't be for profit. It would be, to troll Wall Street because that's fun and they deserve it. So fuck them. Um, let's see. So this building with heart philosophy, that the short squeeze doesn't have built with heart on there, but it falls under that definition that I gave earlier. Social coordination, people working in line with their passion, and definitely, people are getting outsized returns, squeezing, transferring billions of dollars from hedge funds to, Robinhood day traders. So there's an outside effect there, and we will, I expect, see outsized response uh, in the financial sector, in media, which I think we've seen today, um, and government. Uh, yeah, there's plenty of stuff with the new administration and the new Secretary of the Treasury, um, keeping a close eye on the situation. Um, yeah, so building with love has some outsized effects, which in a business sense means that you can do less and get more. In industrial engineering, that's something you want to do to increase profits and productivity and efficiency. Smaller inputs, larger outputs, very profitable. So how do you do it? What if you want to build with love? What are the or if you want to build with heart or made with heart? What are the things that you need to do to get there? So what I've found is that uh, individually seek flow states. So if you like programming, do it. Have fun with it. Go more into that that form of creativity that engages flow states. Um, the as an organization encourage the contributors, just like in at MakerDAO, the community contributors, to seek those flow states. Again, at an organizational and individual level, lean into coincidences. Um, if things are going well, people are like, oh, I like this particular thing that you did. That's a signal to do that thing. Take your flow state, apply to that thing that um, coincidentally is profitable to you. If you got lucky, go that way so you can continue down that path of luck. I've noticed as I've done this work that I get supernaturally lucky. Um, and I think it's Naval on Twitter who says there's four kinds of luck. The first one is blind luck, but the other three are things that you can control. Being in the right place at the right time, being the right person, having the right history and knowledge. So you can be a luckier person, and then when lucky things happen, lean into them. That's kind of showing you the path forward in a business or community sense. Very much like this Wall Street's bet thing. That was a a lucky break that guy found that heavy, overly shorted position. He leaned into that, let the community know. The rest of the community, the ones that saw it early got super lucky, making a lot of profit, especially now, if they were to sell, which Chamath did sell today, and I think he's taken 500,000 of his profits for charity and just giving it to like help entrepreneurs start up businesses. So good on him. That's building with love or building with heart. So yeah, lean into coincidences at an individual level and at an organizational level. Prioritize remedying heartache. So in the MakerDAO example, am I still recording? Yeah. Yeah. In the MakerDAO example, uh, crypto is highly volatile, and so you don't really have an option except to go to cash if the market is about to tank. So you would lose value during that tank, or you got to go through a bunch of steps to turn it into fiat in somebody's bank account somewhere. Um, so that's a pain point because if it's in somebody's bank account, you don't own it. Like you have a claim to it, but it's like liability. Excuse me, a liability for the company or however that works. So it's not something you own. It's something you're owed. So by creating a stable form of cryptocurrency, you can maintain uh, control or custody of that cryptocurrency that retains its value, and then convert it back at a later date whenever the price of the volatile asset has gone down. Um, so remedying heartache, that's the MakerDAO thing uh, with DAI token, the DAI stable token to remedy that heartache. With WordPress, putting together a professional, well-working website used to be a very difficult thing to do. Whenever the WordPress uh, ecosystem came out, it made it very easy for individuals to just spin up a good website presence and have it be very functional. So they remedied a heartache. The company that I've co-founded, NDAL.com, it remedies the heartache that happens whenever a loved one dies, and then there are assets and accounts that need to be transferred or closed out and communication. There's just a whole bunch of work, especially for the executor. If the executor is grieving, like say when my mom died, my stepdad was grieving. Um, he did have to do some executive functions in that event. However, my mother had the foresight to record her usernames and passwords down for all of her accounts, so those were easy to settle out and keep charges from continually recurring, to get assets off of places that they could be lost at, to salvage digital photos and recordings of her singing and stuff like that. So we're remedying the heartache that goes along with the uh, bureaucratic red tape you got to jump through, in addition to having to deal with somebody close passing away and mourning their death. Uh, yeah, deprioritize profit is the next thing you got to do. So if you're making a design decision to uh, how are you going to build your business, how are you going to design your revenue model, all those things, prioritize, like I said, remedying heartache over the profit. So what this does is allow you to actually build something somebody wants. Nobody wants to pay you money unless you're really helping them, really bringing value to them. So prioritize the thing that they want. And then as a side effect, later at some point, you'll get compensated. Uh, it may come from the form of, you'll maybe start charging for a service that everybody finally knows is great. Or uh, you can go public later with a whole bunch of active users that love your product. So you got a community there. Your community, if you deprioritize profit, um, and prioritize remedying heartache, your community will champion your project. See that happen all the time in DeFi and DAOs and cryptocurrencies, and this Wall Street's bet thing. Like, hey, retards, hop on this short. We're gonna stick it to the bankers, or the hedge funds. Uh, so yeah, deprioritize profit. Very important thing next is de-risk fear states. So in order to do all these things and make all these decisions and do it confidently, you can't be afraid of what might go wrong. And one way to do that is, talk to your customers, find out what they like about your product, what they don't. Um, so make sure you're actually building what they want. That will de-risk the project. Make sure you're working on the right thing. And if you know you're working on the right thing, well, then you're not worried about, what happens if this all fails. Like, you can worry about, like, what happens if we don't make money? It's going to be successful because we're making something that these people want, right? These are good people. We are solving one of their problems. They'll make sure that we're settled up with. So don't worry about trying to make decisions for profit. It's gross anyways, right? Make decisions for helping people. Another thing to de-risk fear states is, this is real big in DeFi and crypto. Don't let other people control what you own or you. So whenever you're working in DeFi, um, you have control over your own bank accounts. So if you're in some part of the world where the government likes to go in and suck money out of your account and do negative interest rates and blah blah blah, you don't have to worry about that. You know, they're not able to pull money out of your cryptocurrency wallet because it's uh, cryptographically secured and it's not their system. So, um, de-risk fear states. Oh, yeah. You can work on your own schedule. You don't have to worry about having a boss, punching the clock, being late to work, a commute, um, any of that stuff. Whenever you work in these sorts of organizations, you do your work when you feel like it. Basically, you just follow your passion into serving the greater good and don't worry about all the other stuff. So, if you happen to be a person who enjoys a recreational substance that they don't allow in some country or some jurisdictions, uh, or where they do drug testing at work, for example, well, you don't have to worry about that. You can just do that thing that you know works for you. They're not going to drug test you and make her down. That would be that that would be a logistical nightmare. Um, Respect humanity and diversity. Um, that you know, it makes sense with, yeah, a building with love sort of philosophy, but what it really does is help the community work collaboratively. Um, so respect for humanity is, of course, you're solving heartache, but don't introduce heartache. Don't introduce rent-seeking behavior to try to like extract profit out of your customers or turn your customers into a product. Um, yeah, don't turn your customers into a product. Bring value to your customers, and then they'll reward you. Um, Respect diversity. Just like people are in these organizations, everybody's following their passion. So even if you don't understand it, even if they think and talk and act and look weird, just let them do it. Like they're going to surprise you with some cool stuff. And, get off your high horse. Just respect humanity and diversity. And the last one I got here for the how to is to communicate transparently. Um, Whatever's going on with the organization, whatever the goals are. If you're building with love, they're pure intentions. You're solving problems. So just give everybody the information you need. Don't hold secrets. Don't try to fight for intellectual property. Um, just worry about remedying heartache and following your passion and, respect humanity and diversity, communicate transparently. This is what's going on. This is who you need to talk to get this done. Um, like this is the process that we have set up for approving new projects and funding them. Um, Let us know what hours you worked. If you didn't get much done, but you worked a whole lot of hours because you were struggling, like let us know that you worked all the hours and that you were struggling. We'll pay you for the hours and figure out a way to help you get over that struggle. Once you're over that struggle, you're back to following your passion again and you're productive again. So virtuous cycle. So all of this, uh, as I've stated it, it sounds like there was some proof there that this stuff works. You can look up some citations on this. I'll need to cite this stuff. Um, but the just me saying it isn't something you can design around because it's intuitive. You kind of have to feel what the right thing is to do. So we have an intuitive design problem if we're going to use this on a larger scale outside of the organizations where it's already being used. And to solve that intuitive design problem, there are actually like the philosophies that have been made or written about this stuff. Like that's very opaque. Like what does poetry have to do with designing a community or coordinating social organizations and work? Um, they There's been advancements made in, uh, I think it's neurology, uh, psychology, social studies, market studies. Um, there's been advancements made in game theory, cryptography. There's a lot of actual hard science that can go into all this. And so to give an answer to what is building with heart, and not ending up on that Reddit page where it says it's uh, made with love, so it's just really good. Like, let's get some actionable items in that so we can copy this model and get other people building it and make a better world. So in that effort, I'm working over the next 40 weeks. I've already done a little bit of the documentation so far for formal theory and proofs. And my goal is to have this published on GitHub by November. Um, once we do that, once those are out there, then the community can take it and expand upon it and fix whatever errors I may have made. But at least the framework is out there for a general understanding of the building with heart process, so that it can be used in more organizations and used to develop brand new products like NDAL. Um, some people have told me, like, with the idea for NDAL, um, that it's genius, that it can, you can do plugins on a will that automate all this stuff. And um, you could make little trustless trusts that exist as atomic components within your will, that if you need to change something in there, well, the will has been signed, so you can change stuff in the trust, and it's the trust that gets inherited. Or you can have self-funded uh, accounts, like account access for Netflix. So you could set up a DeFi position that paid your Netflix account every month, and you never had to pay again because it's streaming interest. And so you've got this source of entertainment. And then if you wanted to, like, pass it off to your family if you passed away, so they still had it and had the free Netflix access, you can just do it. That's not something that's ever been done before, but with this building with heart philosophy, we basically just leaned into all the coincidences that happened in the co-founders' lives to come up with this revolutionary way to organize your life and make, uh, you know, building an estate plan not a big pain in the neck. Because that's in our customer research, like, everybody has something or someone that they care about being taken care of if they die, but they don't want to do it because the process gets in the way. We created rituals and systems that are just a pain in the neck, and nobody wants to deal with it. And then a lot of people just, fuck it, I'm going to die before I deal with that. And then they do. So we don't want that. If you have something cool, say you have some, um, like I don't know, Google Drive account or something that you want to make sure these family photos get transferred on to your heirs so it's not lost. Just put those credentials inside a will plugin, um, and then they will go to the right person, and they won't be revealed to anybody else. So you're not sitting on a document that's got the keys of the kingdom of uh, your personal information or financial information that could get out. It's secured in NDAL. The only people that see it are the people who are supposed to see it when they're supposed to see it. Uh, yeah. So that's the power of building with heart. You make cool stuff that solves real problems, and the universe just works to make sure that you are properly compensated, and not just financially. There's community you get out of it. There's like the way I got my life set up now, like, I don't need outside utilities or anything. Not because I'm worried about them going off. It's just uh, I've been doing good work, and now I can just drink my water straight from the sky and not drink the dirty gray water that comes through the public water lines. So yeah, I get fresh, clean water just because I followed my passion, built with love, didn't have to go to a commute, and I can work by myself or work from home and improve the home. So yeah, you get compensated in more ways than just financial, which is really cool. Most projects don't really, you don't get rewarded like that. The benefits package is like, uh, you get some health insurance that maybe ain't that great. You get paid an amount that's probably less than your worth. You get extra headaches. Like, you don't have to worry about that whenever you built a product and a business that's building with heart, and it's just a better way to live. And you get to live fearlessly because you've de-risked all that fear out of your life, and then you just follow your passion. So yeah, like personally, I live in heaven on earth. So super happy about all that. Well, I hope I didn't bore you with what I was talking about. And I guess I'll leave it at there. All right, y'all. Love you, and go out and do good things.